Mm-mm-mm.
But anyway, so I'm looking forward to that. That'll be good.
Yeah, it's on my. I don't want to say it's on my bucket list. It's not on my bucket list, but it is a place I'd like to go sometime.
Well, I've only been once. Oh no, that's not true. I've been twice, and both times
Really?
like
Yeah.
they were just really good. I've
Is
been
this
to
Fogo de
Fogo's
Chão?
twice. We went one year for my birthday. It was my birthday present, and then I think we went another time. I feel like I've been twice, and both times it was good. Like both times it was exactly what I wanted. It was good. The second time was better because I didn't have to drive home. My father-in-law drove home,
Oh, I thought you
and
just slept there. I was like,
no, I was so full that it was nice not to have to drive home.
hey, that's the other problem too is when you go like to places like that where it's like, okay, so that was nice, but now I'm walking out miserable or rolling out miserable. Bring
Yeah,
a wheelbarrow.
right. Well, I definitely then drink like green tea when we get home because it like helps digestion and all. Like I definitely have like prep now, like Thanksgiving and stuff like that. I don't actually eat as much as I used to, like for Thanksgiving and other meals like that. But I do drink like hot tea or warm water. Helps with your digestion and things like that.
I've been trying to like avoid the repeat trips.
Mm-hmm.
Like go get what you're gonna eat and then sit there for a while. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I'll eat more. I'll eat more later instead of eating it all right now. It just feel
Mm-hmm.
better. Um, like every time I go get more, I regret it. It's like
Right.
I
Yeah.
felt really good, and then I went and ate more,
And
and now
now
I
you
can't
don't feel
breathe.
good. Yeah. I can get behind that.
But so I guess then you only have to avoid making up for it by piling
Doing
your
a
plate so
yeah
full
a
when you
larger
first.
plate.
I gotta make up for lost space.
Take my allergy pill, but I didn't want people to think I'm popping pills on stream. So
That's okay. We heard it.
yeah, I just want everyone to know that it's just my Zyrtec that I still take in the winter because of Texas. We might not have that many viewers on Facebook today because they were saying they were having problems.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I don't know. We'll see.
They also said it's not StreamYard's issue; it's
That's
Facebook's issue.
right. They
I've
were
gotten so
very
many, like even on our church services, I've gotten so many. Um, like half of our service will be muted right after it's done, and I'm like, seriously, like especially at Goodwood, like we seem the oldest hymns in the book. Like, what could you possibly have a copyright issue with what we did?
right. I know it's crazy.
Like, half of me thinks it's a joke. Can't remember the name of one of the um, groups.
He leadeth me.
Hey, you know what I just realized?
What?
We've been live for 5 minutes without a countdown.
Oh
It's
my!
okay.
For the whole 5 minutes? Here, hold on.
Oh man, it was a good one too, a Christmas one. We're gonna have to use that again next week.
Yeah. We also need to be using. Don't we have? Is it not uploaded? I thought it was. I thought our Christmas overlay was on here.
Yep, it is time for the Christmas overlay.
It is. Also, did you know that?
Till we're all growing a beard. A man's face should never be bare. We just want some facial hair. We're anticipating, yeah, everyone's waiting for a beard.
Well, hey, good morning, everybody. This is Behind the Beards. And here on Behind the Beards, we pull the curtain back, take a look behind the scenes, and try to reveal the things that go on in the hearts and minds of your ministers and ministry leaders. I am Josh Fowler, a preaching minister in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And my brother with a dog toy,
No way,
Aaron
man.
Bartlow,
This is my
Longview, Texas.
Taco Bell hot sauce stress ball.
Stress ball.
That smells like chocolate. That's kind of weird.
I just want you to know, when you talk right up to the bumper, it makes it really hard to edit.
Oh, good.
No, the video bumper. Yeah. It's like-
Perfect.
so now when I upload it onto the podcast platforms, it's going to go, yeah, when we're all growing a beard.
Love it. That's what I like. 5 and Below, man. I think Five and Below is like one of my most favorite stores to go into. I
How
feel
much
like I
money do you
can
spend when you go to Five Below?
usually between $20 to $25. Easy. Without breaking a sweat.
Without breaking a sweat. And how much of those $25 worth of items do you actually use once you get home?
Well, it's usually high chew candies, and I eat them all. So
and you use them all.
I use them all. I love high chews. High chews is like my favorite candy in the entire world, and they sell them at Five and Below, and you can get them like in those little packs. And so I'll go and I'll buy, and they're like $1.25 or whatever. So I'll go buy like 15 to 20 of them, and then I'll just throw one in my backpack, and then like it'll just last me forever. So I have a stack of them in my office, and I just slowly use them. I'm not a big candy eater. If you know me, like I don't eat a whole bunch of candy, so it's not like a temptation for me to be like, so.
Yeah, I'm not eating unless it's chocolate or bottle caps. And I'll eat a whole box of bottle caps in a heartbeat.
Crazy. That does make you sound old.
Does it?
It does.
Well, I'll take it.
Wax teeth. Wax teeth are my favorite. I loved those when I was a kid. And still do.
I have this really bad habit of going to Five Below, seeing an item and knowing absolutely it is a bum deal.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's only $5 and it's a Qi charger for your phone. But at the same time, if this works well, this is a steal.
That's right.
And every once in a while, you'll find that one. Once in a while, you find one that works and works well.
Do you have the RBG bathroom set from Five and Below? I loved that. I told Lauren
that were charging cords, so they like unclasp.
Oh,
and
yeah?
one side is a USB and the other side is a lightning port.
There you go.
Only problem is they don't fit on your wrist. They keep like popping loose and falling off.
That's
like,
annoying.
Beautiful design, but if you have a normal sized wrist,
Yeah.
it doesn't work for you.
Great for children. I like taking Sam because I can. It's like the only time in my life that I can go and be like, "Hey, man,
Anything in the store.
anything in the store you can have. You just whatever you want. You pick one thing, we'll buy it for you."
That's right. You can be hero dad.
That's right. It's rare.
Anything, dad? Like, yeah.
Can't say that at Walmart.
No.
'Cause, man, some of those Nerf guns are expensive.
Well, man, we're getting geared up for our Christmas trip. We're gonna be traveling towards Michigan. And while we're up there, we're gonna go skiing. So,
Ooh.
I got my new snowboard boots in the.
So do you snowboard? You don't actual ski?
I snowboard. Heather skis. Dylan skis. I snowboard. And Jody snowboards.
Okay.
But I've been like renting boots because I just hadn't been able to find a pair of boots that I really liked. Because I have my own board and everything else.
Sure.
But then I realized, like, man, I'm paying to rent boots, but the equipment rental is the same price if I just get boots or if I get a boots and a board.
All right. Yeah.
So, this year I bought my own. Found a good deal on a set of DC boots. They're really comfortable. But that's gonna be fun. We haven't been that far north with that much natural snow.
No joke.
So
That
we're
will
gonna
be
meet
good.
Cody's soon to be uh, in-laws, Tyler's family. We're going to get to meet them, so that'd be really cool. That'd be cool. Any big plans for the Christmas holidays for you guys?
I don't think so. I feel like our plans change quite a bit, but I don't think so. I think our plan is to be here for Christmas. I do leave on the 30th. I am excited about this. I'm gonna drive to Kansas. I'm gonna drop Lauren and Sam off at her parents' house, and then I'll fly out to Colorado for the National Conference of Children's and Youth Ministry, and then I'll fly back in and pick them up and drive them all back to Texas. So, good 17 hours of driving, so that Lauren can spend some extra time with her parents and Sam can see his grandparents. So that'll be good. That'll be fun, and I'm really looking forward to that. Man, I look forward to NCYM so much. So it'll be good.
I have never been to NCYM. NCCYM.
That's crazy. It's the best. It's good, and they do such a good job at providing a spectrum of classes. So if like you're a new youth minister or children's minister, there's classes that like you'd be really interested in. If you're a veteran and have been doing it a while, there's some more spiritual development and some other classes that they do really well. If you just want to go and listen to, I haven't checked the roster this year, but usually like Chris Seidman goes and he does like one of his whole sermon series, right? He'll do like 2 classes a day, and a morning and an evening one. And you can just listen to Chris Seidman in person preach his sermon with the ability to stop him and ask questions. And it's like, I don't know, like that's so
cool.
awesome. That's like my favorite. Like there was one year I just like only went to his class, and he was like, welcome back. And he like got to know me a little bit, and I was like, man, I just like your preaching style and your stories and things and like it comes alive. And so that's like, for me, that's a cup filling experience. And the year I didn't go for COVID was the year that I realized how much my cup gets filled by going to NCYM. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's the start of the year. Then we get back and go to Winterfest. So for me, it's like December kind of gets slept on, and then it's like I'm like looking forward to January.
Yeah, I can see that. Man, this fall kind of got away from us. We were supposed to have Josh Jones on like in October.
Yeah, we were.
But it's been a little bit of a crazy ride. Today we're going to be looking at there's like an epidemic lately. I don't want to say lately. I'm sure it's been around for a while. I just have become more aware of how prevalent this negative spirit is. And I think what really has struck me is there have been pockets of respite from that negativity. Like when all that stuff's going on around you, there's always been places where I could go to get away from it, and those pockets are getting smaller and smaller, where you find those positive, encouraging people that are in your life. You see it a lot even in like Christian comments and things in Christian circles, that negativity is just consuming. And so I just wanted to look at how do we what is the source of that, and how do we avoid it? Because
I know what the source of it is. That's easy,
right? What's the source of it?
Source of it is Satan, man.
Like, okay,
like seriously, like man,
you're right.
Like, what is it like? You watch any movie where there is a big bad guy. You watch Lord of the Rings, you watch Star Wars, you watch anything like that where you have an oppressor or somebody. The number one thing that they are most scared of is never the enemy army. It's what? It's hope. They always try to crush hope. And if you are a joyous prisoner, they will do whatever they can to make you in a state of being, miserable. Because
I
if
was
there
hoping that was
is
the right answer because that was not a rehearsed intro. Just
no, if there was no, it was not. But if there was no hope, if there is no hope, then there is no joy. And there's nothing to look forward to, and this is it. And Satan, and we're going to talk about we're going to dive deeper into this, and this is not going to be just about this, but man, Satan just wants to take away all your hope and all your dreams. He really wants you to be focused on like the negative, the car accident, the whatever that's right there in front of you, and to be focused on that.
the ultimate killjoy, right?
The ultimate killjoy. So that's not what I meant to do. I meant
I
to
got
block
one of
this
those
person.
Twitch bots that's wanting to promote our channel, huh? Like, hey,
Yeah, that's
thanks.
nice. I forgot.
No,
how to
I
do
think
this.
there is. So, like, the really easy place for me to go is to laziness.
Mm-hmm.
The negativity is just so easy. But the other aspect of it is negativity seems to be more contagious than positivity.
Mm-hmm.
That if the snowball effect of negative comments just it perpetuates so rapidly when you go out and you start saying and speaking something positive and encouraging, someone might go, oh, you know what, that's really nice, I'm really glad you brought that up. So did you see what that guy's wearing over there?
Right.
It doesn't have the same effect for, I don't know, it's probably human nature. It's probably just that we've been trained by generations of culture that it's just easier to press somebody down than it is to elevate.
Right. Yeah, totally.
And if it's about self-preservation, making myself better, I can either do the hard work on myself to make myself better, or I can just knock the people down around me so that I feel like I'm better.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just the easier way around. And we've just been taught so much that that's the way that just becomes the natural instinct.
Mm-hmm.
And it's everything from every aspect of life. I see it. Sports is kind of the world that I live in with my.
You? No.
Yeah, I know. This is news, breaking news.
I've never seen you sports it ever.
And I was thinking, I've got a friend that's an Ohio State fan, and Michigan beat Ohio State, and this post began as a commendation for the game that Michigan played, but all throughout it there was insults about the coach and insults about the team that's just beaten his team. And so it can't just be this congratulations, you were better than us today, go take the Big Ten championship.
Well, and as soon as you challenge anybody on that, they say, "Oh, well, you're just a sore loser, or you just can't take it. You need to toughen up."
Yeah.
There's such a knee jerk too to if you're like, "Hey, can we be like more positive about this?" Oh, well, you can't take it. Like, what's wrong?
Yeah.
Kind of a mentality that happens as well.
Even with guys, right? Like, I caught myself just the other day when we were out playing disc golf. I'm
Jealous?
I made some.
You gonna say it?
I was playing with you.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah, no, and I made some comment about your grammar skills. Right?
I speak perfectly.
Well, so then I
not.
caught my.
I do not.
Here's the deal. I caught myself doing it, and so then I'm like, you know what? I need to be more positive because here's the truth: are your grammar skills poor? Yes, they are. But at the same time, those words that you make up, they work, and it might not be a real word, but everybody
That's true. They do work.
Exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's a real word, but I know where he was going with that, and so it makes sense. So maybe you're just inventive, and you're a genius in that way. That you're creating new words for Webster.
I will say, if Grammarly ever wants to sponsor us, I am a #1 solid fan, and I love you so much, and I wish that you were around when I was in college, because I probably would have had a higher GPA sooner if you were there to autocorrect my papers and emails. For the first time ever, the first time in my entire life, I got a compliment email from somebody who said, Aaron, would you add my wife to your emails? We enjoy reading them. You are such a gifted communicator, verbally and through your emails. And I was like, what? I have never in my entire life. I like actually got teary eyed when I showed Lauren. I said, I have always, and I have, like, through my entire life, I've always been made fun of. And I have thick skin, so don't think like it really hurts me. But but like Facebook and other places where like the only comment somebody makes is you misspelled that, or or you did that, and it's like, cool, thanks, man, appreciate it.
Yeah,
and that that can like weigh you down. And so like when I got that compliment because somebody chose to be super positive and positive about that, like it shifted my mentality. I've been riding off of that compliment for like a week and a half now. Like it has lifted me up. Lauren will tell you this. Wednesday morning is my lowest moment in the week. Do you know why Wednesday morning is my lowest moment of the week, Josh?
I don't know why Wednesday morning is your lowest moment of the week.
It's because that is when I write my email that goes out to my parents at church. It's the moment that I sit down at the computer, I pull up MailChimp, and I design and I create the email for the week. And it stresses me out because I want to sound like I'm a 34-year-old youth minister who's been doing youth ministry for 12 years. And I don't want to sound like a 12-year-old kid trying to write an email.
Right.
So I want to communicate well. I want it to look professional. I want it to come across, that I know what I'm doing and all that kind of stuff. So it's like a high intensity. It's like an hour and a half to do that email of like rethinking everything I say and every word that I type in that email.
How many times do you have to reread it before you hit send?
A lot, actually.
It's like, oh man, should I change that? No,
but again, I'm thankful for programs like Grammarly. I used to like pre-send it to Lauren before she was working as much as she is, so that she could reread it. In Kansas, there was a sweet old lady named Ruth Ann Souter. Mm-hmm. Love her to death. And I would send her my emails. She would correct my emails. She would send it back, and then I would send it out to all the parents. And that's a secret. Not a lot of people know that.
Well, it's a secret no more.
It's no longer a secret. I no longer work there. She's no longer the secretary. Fun fact, Ruth Ann Souter started her secretary job at Central Church of Christ in 1988. And she never has felt old in her entire life until I told her that was the year I was born. And she was like, oh, I have been doing this for a long time. So it's kind of funny.
That is funny.
That is funny.
No. I was watching, the World Cup here. Obviously, sports, watching the World Cup. And there's been some stories come out that's just kind of made me realize the depth of my own negativity. We've had this kind of concept amongst people, especially amongst guys, that, hey, if I'm not putting you down, I don't love you. That's just kind of our love language. And we've kind of accepted that. And as I'm watching the stories of the Japanese fans cleaning up the stadium after the games, the Japanese soccer team,
I did that when I was in Japan.
Folding all their towels and leaving their locker room spotless when they leave. And then seeing the players after games picking one another up, hugging one another, winners consoling losers that are going home. I asked myself the question, is like, what's it going to take for Christians
right
to be the story that people are talking about? Because these people have a lot of powerful stories to tell, but Christians have even more powerful story to tell.
We should
so
have
when are
my
we
dad
going to live
on.
the kind of lives that people look at and go, oh man, what an awesome story. And so that's the kind of positivity that I want to live with. And so how do we kind of reshape and
Yeah.
reform our whole perspective to be encouragers, positively focused people, and finding those things? Have your dad on? You were saying?
Oh, I was. It's not important.
Oh,
No, just kidding. I was gonna say we should have had my dad, or just had him like do a clip, real quick, to talk about like he used to umpire the Christian softball league
oh yeah.
where he still live, and he it was brutal at some points. It was brutal. I remember like I was playing, but I was umping behind the plate, and I called a strike because it was a strike. It hit the green mat. It has to hit the green mat. It hit the green mat and it moved, and the guy freaked out at me at the plate, and he was a big guy, and I said, look it. I said, you can see the softball mark on the green mat. I said, it has to hit the green mat, and it's a strike. It's a strike. I'm sorry, you're out. But he was waiting for his perfect pitch or whatever, you know.
Right.
So anyway, it was the last time I ever umpired a softball game and let my dad just do it. My dad is an amazing umpire. He's an amazing athlete. We wouldn't say that at all about himself, but he's just one of those naturally athletic guys. And I feel like I picked that up when it came to like obscure sports, like ping pong or cornhole or some of those other like obscure sports. I'm like, hey, I can naturally pick those up pretty quick, but basketball, not so much. Softball, I'm okay. But anyway, so like, how do we get into that positive place? One of the things I was thinking about was a lot of times like we surround ourselves in the world. Like the world is such a negative place. And one of the comments, I actually just preached a sermon not too long ago on this, so it's kind of interesting that we're talking about this. But I talked about this idea that like a lot of times like we're filling our cups in the wrong place. Like if we have our life and we have our cup of life, we're filling it in the wrong places. Like we'll surround ourselves with negativity. I love preachers who will just preach this and say it to people's faces. They'll be like, just turn off the news. Just like go a day where you don't watch the news. Go a week where you don't watch the news and see how you like change. Like it is an addiction for us, for a lot of people. You've lived your life without the news before. You could live without it now. And I understand that like there are important things that go on, but there's a lot of things that you don't need to know about that you could go and live your daily life and you would feel a lot better if you just didn't fill your life in the morning with that negativity, in the evening, in the afternoon, and everything like that. I mean, there's no news channel as of right now who is going to speak nicely about everybody, right? They're all going to be toxic. They're all going to be angry, upset, and there's going to be some people who are like, except for this news station, they only speak the truth. But it's still like negativity that's filling our cup constantly. And so then what we do is we take that negativity and we bring it into our church community and our church groups, and we pour that negativity everywhere. Like you're maybe mad about the president, and so some reason like you're projecting your anger about the president onto your pastor, your preacher of your church, because you assume they're leading in that sense. And so that negativity stews over into our church communities, our church groups.
Right.
Opposed to the opposite of what should happen, right? We should become empty and become filled at the foot of the cross, and that positivity and that hope. What is it that my dad said up here? My grandpa Dean used to say, no God, no hope. But if you know God, then you know what hope is. Like you know hope. So instead, like we take that positivity, we take that idea of, oh yeah, you know what? It doesn't matter who's president because I know who's king. You know? And at the end of the day, like I serve Jesus over than I serve my country. You know, I serve Jesus first. You know, and so I know. You know, I've read the back of the book. I've read the back of the Bible. I know that God wins. You know, and so we take that positivity to influence the world, but instead we take the negativity of the world to influence our church communities. So then our church communities become a place where there is toxic behavior and people being upset and cranky and grumpy and complaining. And, and for me, it loops back all the way to a consumeristic mentality. Like, I go to church to be served. I don't go to church to serve. So there's my soapbox for you right there.
Well, and I think it comes back around to, there are people in my life, not often close people, but who just see the negative in everything. There are a few people in my life that see the silver lining in everything. They are just naturally drawn to the smallest glimmer of light that they can find in any situation. And it's not that they ignore the fact that the world is crumbling around them, possibly.
Right.
But what they see is they see hope. And they see that thing that we're moving towards, and their mindset is, that's what I'm going to focus on. That single ray of light that I can move towards. And I think that's really the call of the Christian, is to recognize, what it means to live a life of blessing. I think this is another aspect of maybe where this tends to, is our understanding of what it means to be blessed. If I ask somebody, how are you? And they say, man, I'm really blessed. I'm naturally going to assume that their family life is good, their marriage is okay, their job's going well, and they're physically doing well, because we don't often find ourselves in the depths of despair, death, and loss and go, you know what? How are you? I'm blessed beyond measure.
Well, and it's also like really hard to be the silver lining person sometimes.
Yeah.
Right?
If it was hard,
I don't know that.
If it was
I don't
easy,
know
we
that.
would do it. So.
That's right. I don't know that we've like verbalized or said that, but I feel like our friendship is unique in the sense where, like, if Josh calls me and needs to vent a little bit, I'll let him vent. But I feel the need to like try to be a little silver lining kind of guy and point him in the right direction. And in the same way, like, I'll call Josh and I will vent. And then Josh, at the end of my venting, silver lining and point me in the right direction. And, there's moments where, like, I go, I just did not want to hear that from Josh. But because I have that kind of friendship with Josh, and because I have that relationship, I take it. Like, it's what I need to hear, and that's good. And so I hate when Josh is reasonable when I want to vent, right? I know. And but like, it's hard to be that way. It's hard to be that person who's going to be that silver lining, but we have to be. Like, we need to be. We need to be, and we need to do the hard things. And we've spent a lot of time of this podcast so far telling you like the negative side of stuff. But the second half of this podcast is tips and encouragement to be positive and to avoid negativity. So, like, how can we step out of that? How can we be more positive? And things like that. And I always think of like, if you've got bad gas in your car, you got bad gas in your lawnmower, what are you supposed to do, Josh?
You got to get it out.
You got to get it out.
You're not going to run it out. You're going to
right.
have to like empty it and clean everything. And
got to get it out of there.
Purge the system. And
when you do that, then you put good gas in it. I know the only thing going through everyone's mind is, I know what the problem is. I got gas in it, right? That's the best line ever. I really wanted to just show this image today. This is something that I have in my office, and I absolutely love it. It's a good painting that I have. I did a sermon a while back, and I had people paint from Psalms 23. And in this image here, you have this little guy. And if you can see it, if you're watching on YouTube or anything, and if you're not, you're listening on Spotify or the podcasting app, there's this little guy in the middle, and he's got this little cup in his hand, and there's an abundance abundance of water that is pouring from these clouds into these pools, and it's all over the place and it's expanding. But his cup is so tiny, and there's a representation there of how small my cup is that needs to be filled by God, and how much God has to give for us. And it's a coveted painting from Josh. So I have to lock my office every time he's in town. But it's something that brings me a lot of joy, and it's my wallpaper on my phone at the moment because it reminds me of how much good there is from God for me to focus on. And I think my tips and tricks for being a more positive person is really to stop listening to so many negative things and start listening to more positive things. Mm-hmm. It is incredible to me how those Christian basics, which we would call Christian basics, which our ancestors would call spiritual disciplines, are so outrageously important for our Christian and spiritual well-being. Mm-hmm. You know, when we don't start our day with the news, but we start our day with prayer and fasting and and reading scripture or meditation, man, we're dipping into that pool of godliness, of that goodness of who God is. And I think that's the place that I would start. If you're looking for a place to start, hey man, how do I just start my day? Or how do I start living a more positive life? Think about how you start your day, and think about a better way that you can do that.
You know, that painting you showed is coveted by me because it was really it was a perspective altering moment for me when I saw it.
Oh yeah.
Because I love the 23rd Psalm.
Me too. Mm-hmm.
You know, I've gone through it with my children. Mm-hmm. They memorized it when they were 4 years old. It just has this place in my heart. I use it at weddings. I use it at funerals. Mm-hmm. I use it in regular prayer. You know, it's just one of those things that just has guided my life. And that I've always appreciated that phrase.
Right.
My cup runs over. My cup overflows. But the image always in my mind is, my cup is so full that it's running over. But this painting has this image of, it's not that my cup is so full that it's running over. It's that the blessings from God are being poured out in such a fashion that it's literally like trying to drink out of a fire hydrant, you know?
Right.
Like,
yes.
Take a sip out of a fire hydrant because of the amount of what God is trying to pour into his people. And there's just this little thing that I have to catch some of God's blessing. And of course it overflows. And from my overflow, there is this either things that are below me that my overflow is continuing to fill up. And you know, that perspective, I think, is what we need to recognize, that there is good all around us. And we're reminded of that every time we see a story. We recognize that every time we see a story. All the comments underneath the story that we see will say, we need more of this. Show us more of this. But we have to have the intentional mindset that says, I'm not asking you to show me more of this. I'm going to go display more of this. And so we can't continue to be passive.
Yeah.
We have to take action and say, no, I'm not going to wait for someone to pour this into me. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be the one that goes and seeks it out and is the one that pours this into other people. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where the difficulty comes in, is because we've just learned to be passive. Mm-hmm. And allow other things to transpire that we can participate in. And we haven't really taken the initiative to go and be the one who begins that, mm-hmm. and forces it down the hill to snowball.
Right.
Because it will. It just takes a little more.
Takes work.
It takes work.
It takes work. It takes initiative. It's retraining your brain. It's retraining yourself. It's doing that 180 and refocusing on something that is powerful and healthy and good. I mean, a lot of times, like, a lot of times it's easy for me. Like, I'll give this an example. It's easy for me to get my dinner, sit in front of the couch, or not in front of the couch, sit on the couch and watch some Netflix, and it took a long time of my wife going, hey, do we want to go for an evening walk? This is something that we really want to do as a family, is to go for an evening walk together. Josh is like, no, I don't want to.
You want to? Or are you asking me if I should?
That's right. And so, hey, we'll leave our phones at home. We'll bring our watches because I got to get them steps. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And something about closing them loops that makes you feel good. But we'll leave our phones and we use that as a time. Lauren and I get to connect and we get to talk. We get to see Sam run around. Sometimes he's really in a phase right now where he's driving Ruby by himself, which is his big Power Wheel, and that's horrifying and hilarious at the same time. He ran over our dog the other day, but she's okay. She's fine. She is old, but she's fine. But there's but it takes work, in order for us to train ourselves to do it. In the same way, like, it takes work for us to train ourselves to get out of a toxic negative state, and to be more positive. Studies have shown that if you put yourself in a more positive state of life, that your health, you will feel better. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy. This reminds me of Josh and I are big fans of The Office. I love The Office. I think it's hilarious. Angela from The Office, right? She, you probably know, I don't know if you know where I'm going with this. I was listening to they do a podcast later on, and she was talking about how she had muscle atrophy in her face because so much of The Office is her not smiling and intentionally holding a stern face, that she said that she had to go home and look in a mirror for hours and practice smiling and consciously doing that, because her muscles had been so trained to be like a negative person. And if you ever see her outside of The Office, she is the complete opposite character, in real life. She's almost over, to the point where you might think she's faking it, but she is she's the opposite. But she had that atrophy, so she had to train herself. And what I'm saying is we have probably spent years, especially with COVID and stuff like that, training ourselves to be negative about everything. We've trained ourselves over the years as, I'll say it as Americans, that things should be done my way because my way is better, And so it takes time for us to train ourselves and to say, you know what? What's my mission? Well, my mission is to love God with all my heart, with all my soul, and all my mind. And to love my neighbor as well. That's my mission. That's my mission. That's what I've been called to live out and to do. So this was the phrase I used in my sermon not too long ago, and it's something that I personally, behind the beards people here, this is something that I'm working on myself. This is not something that I know how to work it or anything, but I have been trying to live this life of staying on mission. Because there's a lot of things, I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of things in youth ministry that I can get really frustrated and upset about that aren't necessarily, or I'll say it, are not connected to the mission of what I feel called to in youth ministry. My mission is to engage, to lift up, to teach about Jesus to teenagers. That's my calling, that's my goal. And there's a lot of things that can get me off mission, that can get me frustrated and be thinking about. And I've decided that I'm just going to not worry about those. And that sounds really silly and like, oh, Aaron, you say that. But I have been in a couple moments recently where I've been like, you know what? oh well, it doesn't actually affect this of what my mission is. Do I think it was the best decision? No, it doesn't. But it doesn't affect me over in the youth ministry to do this. And that kind of sounds like a silo mission, but that's not the mindset that I'm going with. It's my choice to say I'm not going to be focused on that negative, and I'm going to be focused more on the positive and the mission in which I'm trying to accomplish. Kind of an idea.
And I think the other side of that is you have to give yourself room to grow.
Oh, totally.
Because, I mean, if I have bad gas in a lawnmower, I can turn the lawnmower over, I can empty it out, I can clean it out, and it's done right away.
Yeah.
This is a habit, this is a perspective, this is a mindset that we've been taught for generations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't want to say taught, because I don't think it's intentional, but I think our culture has ingrained it in us that this is the way you act.
Yeah.
And if we're going to change that, we're going to have days that we're good, we're going to have days that we're not so good. Mm-hmm. And on those days when we're not so good, we've got to have the maturity to recognize it and then give us permission in that moment to reframe it and not hold it against us. Mm-hmm. Because my temptation is, as soon as I fail, I'm like, well, I got to start all over, and I don't want to start all over, so it's not worth it. Mm-hmm. Life was so much easier when I just wasn't really thinking about this. Mm-hmm. It's kind of the logic that rolls on, and so in that moment, I have to give myself permission to reframe that thought in a positive way.
The best part of a bike ride or a hiking trip is when you are far enough away that it would be just as far to turn around and go home than it is for you to keep going to your destination. And once you've reached that point of no return, then you can keep striving for. But it takes a lot of work to get to that point. I don't know why I thought about that.
When Heather and I were first married, it's a 10-mile loop around Lake Hefner in Oklahoma City.
Right, yeah.
And, we were living in these apartments. There wasn't a lot of places to be really active. So we went and we bought some brand new rollerblades, both of us.
Oh, my Lanta, Josh.
We were going to go rollerblade around Lake Hefner.
No way.
And we were about 5 miles in, and both of us, our feet were killing us. We had blisters, but then we're like, can't turn around. It's 5 miles this way or it's 5 miles
That's right.
ahead. And so we finished it, and it was like, ooh, I got to let my feet heal for a while. Because, by the way, if you buy new rollerblades, break them in before you take them on a big long
That's right, yeah. Well, that was like us when we went to, we brought our brand new bikes in Kansas, and we went to go ride around Lake Shawnee. Mm-hmm. And and at some point I was like, at some point we're going to turn left, right? We're going to this thing's going to arc. And we got to that no return part, and I was like, I know the hills that are behind me. I don't know the hills that are in front of me. And they could be smaller. But I definitely know the ones behind me are large hills. So we kept going forward. And there's a great picture of Lauren and I on Facebook. And I am just wet. I am just drenched with sweat. We look horrible, but we're like, we did it. We went and got a nasty, greasy burger and ate it for lunch because I just need calories.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So then make the effort to do that, but then give yourself permission when you fail to reframe, rephrase, and move on. Mm-hmm. And I also recommend, this is not a journey you can take on your own.
Nope. That's what I was going to say too.
You need those people around you, not only to hold you accountable, but to walk with you in that process, so that as a community, you become a more positive community.
I wish there was a place that you could go as a Christian once, twice, maybe 3 times a week.
Maybe 3 times a week.
where you were surrounded by other people who would help keep you accountable in walking with your faith. Maybe something that was set up by Jesus. That would be really cool. That would be cool.
Yeah. Well,
These are conversations that you need to be having with your church and with your church friends and your small groups and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. This is where Christianity needs to reclaim accountability in those kind of moments.
Yeah.
Don't be an echo chamber. Be a place where you're being challenged to be better and be better. Like, that's what needs to be happen. Church is not about gaining power. It's not about being important. It's the opposite, right? It's about being humble, and it's about serving others. And it's about coming in front of a mirror wearing a shirt that you know is too small, and you look at you and you go, yeah, I probably shouldn't wear that shirt, you know? Like, those are the moments that we need, like, within our church, is to come and to go, yeah, I probably shouldn't have said that or say those things. And you take it off and you put something on that feels better, looks better, which is Jesus, you know, kind of an idea. I know that was a terrible metaphor. I'm sorry. You can just we can cut that out.
I don't cut much out.
That's true.
You take it for what it is.
We'll send it to edit. We'll take it out in post.
But you know, part of the community is to encourage one another to do good, right?
Oh, that's true. I wish we had a verse that like encouraged us to do good even when we were Oh, there it is. Galatians 6:9. Something that's really important to us here at Behind the Beards is Galatians chapter 6 verse 9. It's something that keeps us going every week. Behind the Beards is something that Josh and I do to fill our cups, to speak positively about his bride, the church. We love the church. We love church people. I love ministry and ministry work. And so we say this to ourselves every week. Do not grow weary in doing good. Allow Christ to use you to do something different, do something good in his name. We are thankful for you all being here today. We're thankful for you who listen to the podcast and other places. Engage with that. If you don't mind rating the podcast, if you don't follow us on a podcasting app, do it. Go do that. I know you watch it live. I appreciate that. But go to Spotify, open up your, any other podcasting app, find Behind the Beards, rate it, comment. That helps us out. That increases our viewership, which could be good for other people. Who knows? I don't know. But what I do know is that I'm Aaron, and that's Josh, and we will see you next week on Behind the Beards.
Peace.
Till we're all growing a beard. A man's face should never be bare. We just want some facial hair. We're anticipating, yeah, everyone's waiting for